Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to make a deck box component box combination. So I know that's a lot to digest, but essentially I created this template for the game Root, so I'm going to show a little bit here in just a second, but it's entirely possible that you have reached this video for a different game, which is great. This is just the first one that I've made, and so I need to make a video for it. So just to kind of show you the idea of what these boxes are, I wanted a player box that could hold both cards and components because I hate putting a player's cards and components into the same bag or whatever. I hate that because I always feel like the cards are going to get ruined. So what I've created here is just a deck box, pretty standard deck box, that also has a removable box for components, and the cards get stored underneath. So your cards can be safe, you've got your player components right on top of that. This one, just if you're curious, I had to organize, like, the only way to get all of the cat components for Root in the box was to actually organize it nicely. But yeah, so like that's one example that we've got. You can see, let me show you a different pattern. Like these all use the same template, but I've tried to make sure everything's custom. So for example, the Vagabonds. There are 2 Vagabonds in the game if you have the expansion, and you can see there's a smaller component box for each of them, and they have more cards. But like I said, I have, if I've posted a design, I've in theory thought my way through it, and everything will be individualized for the thing. But I'm saying that because they all have the same templates, they're all made the same way. Here's another example, dice and tokens. This doesn't have any cards in it, but I made 2 removable boxes, one for things that you get used every game and one for other stuff. So anyway, if you're interested in this or any other designs that I've created, I have a web page that I've put together. I will put the link in the description of this video so you can go ahead and browse and see other things that I've made and see if there's stuff that you like. But what I need to do is I have one more faction to make, and so I saved that for this video. It's for the Riverfolk Company. And so I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And like I said, if you go use my webpage, you can find the Root button. Click on that, and it will take you. You can find the PDF for this or whatever you want to make. Anyway, what you need to do is you need to get the PDF printed out, and no matter why you're here, this is a deck and like a deck box mixed with a component box. So there's always going to be 2 pages for these. So we're going to have the deck box and the component box. Okay, so you're going to need to print those out, print it out on cardstock. I'm going to be using a paper cutter here in a second. You're going to want some scissors and some tape. I actually use both kinds of tape in this, but you don't have to be as crazy as I am. There is invisible tape that looks like this. It's invisible on white paper with no printing. Then there's transparent tape out there. Transparent tape is good when you're taping on colored paper or printed paper. And I will say that this design is actually perfect for double-sided tape, but I ran out of double-sided tape, so I'll show you an alternative, and I'll tell you when the double-sided tape is good. Okay, first things first. For both of these papers, there's a big outside shape. I'm going to use the paper cutter to cut out both of these, just cutting around the outside. And there's a tripod sitting right here, so I can't really use the paper cutter on camera. But why don't you go ahead and get your stuff ready, pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff cut, and I will meet you back here in just a second. All right, I'm back, and I have the 2 pages cut out. So there are some similarities in the designs between these 2, but obviously they serve very different functions, so there are some differences. And likewise, there are similarities to my other designs, but there are enough differences that I felt like I needed to make a different video for these. And so what we'll do is let's go ahead and start by making the deck box first. So with this design and with all of my designs, I designate dotted lines as cutting lines and then solid lines as folding lines. And so the very first thing we're going to do once we get all of that stuff cut out is we're just going to find any dotted lines and we're going to cut. Now there are some pieces that are going to come out, and just so that you are rest assured that you're doing the right thing, I've put X's there, just so that you know that after you make that cut, that it's good. There's going to be, in a minute, I'm going to be doing some trimming, and at this point I've made so many of these boxes, because not only do I have the 7 made that are finalized, You know, I went through about 10 iterations of this as I tried to make things work. So it's going to feel like a long process, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that there are definitely some shortcuts that you'll learn. After you make one or two of these, you can see ways to do things faster. But just for clarity, I'm going to try to ignore all of the shortcuts I've come up with at this point and just get our box made, right? Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of a weird thing. We have like almost like a number 5 here that we need to cut out. I probably could have designed that a little differently, but in theory, there's a reason for all of my crazy things that I'm doing. And I'm trying to figure out how to hold this paper so that I can watch I can't watch on like I use an iPhone. I can't watch the screen and cut at the same time. It makes me crazy. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm on camera as I'm cutting. Okay, let's see here. Again, we're just following the dotted lines as we go, and we'll be removing 4 of these squares. I wish I had a good story, and I wish that I was like smart enough to find like free music to put in the background, but mostly I guess I just want you to hear my breathing. Okay, and then we have like a 2 we got to cut out over here. So for the most part, I just start by cutting out the dotted lines. And then again, if you've seen my designs, you already know this, but the template is like measured perfectly. The problem is that our cutting isn't perfect and our folding is not going to be perfect. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to do some trimming. And the reason I'm doing that trimming is so that as we're folding, we're not going to run into major issues. So the first way that I want to trim, now I'm trying something new with this design. I've put little dots in some of these corners just to help guide where trimming is going to happen. It's not very clear. I do all of my templates in Microsoft Word, so I can't really add good dotted lines at a slight diagonal. It just doesn't work out very well. But I guess what I'm trying to say is let's start with these 4 rectangles in the corner. Find the dots. And the corner where the dots are is where we're going to start our cut. And I tried to put 2 dots to show you the direction we're going to cut. I can almost cut that off. But essentially, you're going to go to the printed corner over here. So I know that's not very clear, but basically what I'm saying is for these 4 rectangles, we're going to start where the dots are, and we're going to cut towards the printed corner, like that. Okay? So over here, I see the dots, so I know I'm starting in this corner. There's 2 of them, which means I need to cut in this direction. Cutting in the direction where the dots are lined up. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and do that for the 4 corners to start off. And this one. And if this is too crazy for you, just skip this step and go ahead and fold. And usually when you're folding, you'll see how and where you need to trim. All right, so there were those 4. Now we have 4 colored corners that also have dots. So let's start right here. So dots in this corner means I'm starting here. I need to cut in this direction, but I'm going to go towards the printed angle. So go that way. You don't need a specific angle at all. These are places where we're going to be folding over these tabs. And so just cutting off a little bit will make those fold overs just work a little bit easier for us. Like that. And last one over here, like that. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple more cuts that I didn't put dots on. And again, this is purely optional. It's just because I've done enough of these, I know how this goes. You see big rectangles here attached to, I don't know how to say it. You've got 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. I'm just going to do a really slight angle if the side is available. Does that make sense? So like right here under this T, there's nothing on this side. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that at a really slight angle. Okay, again, this is purely optional. All right, so let's look at this one. So this has 2 sides that are open like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim this one and this one. So the main reason I didn't put dots, this is so dumb, because I didn't want to I didn't want to put a dot and then have to space all the way over to put another dot and do it on 2 rows. I am that lazy. Okay, so this side is not open, so don't worry about that, but this side is, so let's just trim that at a really slight corner. Okay, and then over here we have 2 sides that are exposed, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim those. And I guess I'll allude to the short, like I mostly think that after you do 1 or 2 of these, you're going to come up with your own shortcuts. But basically, here's kind of what I've noticed after I've done it a lot. Do you see how the shape I cut out here kind of looks like a chair? That's what I think of when I'm cutting out. Like I don't go cut out the squares and then do other things. Like I usually just make a cut, up and down like that. So like I can usually do this in one swoop. Anyway, now that we have all of that, that's actually all of the cut marks that we need to make, which is great. So let's go ahead, once we have all the cut marks done, I'm going to clean this out of the way. We're going to do some folding now. So go ahead and turn it over. And probably a good place to start your folds is, I call all of these like random rectangles and squares wings. And so all we're going to do is turn it upside down, find any wing, we're going to hit all of them, and you're just going to fold it down. And what I like to do is I just fold it until I can see like a printed line. So I usually just hold it with my right hand, and then I crease it with my left hand, either with my thumbnail or the scissors. But basically, the reason I go upside down is because as you pull, you can see the line. And for the most part, we want these creases going in this direction anyway. So I'm just going to work my way around this shape. And anytime I see this dumb thing I'm calling a wing or a tab, I'm just going to fold it in and start with these really obvious, simple ones. Okay, so I'm just moving around the shape. Hopefully you can see. Can you see? Kind of, yeah. I'll try to keep my head out of the shot. In one of these videos I made recently, my head was in half the shot. It was stupid. All right. So you pull it. A nice thing about this is, one reason I like to always fold first is why I cut first is because all of your cut marks are really going to kind of guide your folding, even more so than the printed stuff for the most part. So I'm just letting that guide me as best as I can. This is a do-it-yourself project. It doesn't need to be perfect by any means. Heck, you might make a mistake. I probably should recommend printing on normal paper, a black and white version of our project, and just practicing, but whatever. Okay, so we have all of those small squares and these big wings out here folded. Next, there are kind of 6 areas that we need to cover. So I'm going to count them out as you're looking. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they're kind of all folding the same way, even though we have all these weird tabs. Basically, we're going to fold once, and then we're going to keep that folded and fold again. And we're going to do that in all 6 of these spots. So let me be more specific. So here, I'm going to fold on this line. You can see from the cut marks. I'm just going to fold that down. You'll be able to see some printing as you start pulling that cardstock downwards like that. Okay, so first fold on all 6 of these is going to be just to take that top part, fold it down. And you could open it and fold down like this, but I actually like to keep it because that's how it's going to end up. I just use that line to help me make my second fold. And I just go and I keep it as tight as possible like that. Okay, so I'm just going to do this on all 6 parts. Fold the top part down and keep it folded and use the bottom. Oh, I kind of did a bad job, so I'm just going to push that and re-crease it. So keep that folded and then just use that bottom of the paper to fold again. And it should be pretty close. Even on this top part, so this whole top part folds down. Just fold it down like that. Okay? Use the wing lines to help guide you. Look for that printed stuff. Give it a crease with your thumbnail. And then you keep it folded and just fold it over again. Okay, we're halfway there. So let's hit this top part over here. Fold it down. Hopefully I'm making sense. I literally have no clue how these instructional videos go. I haven't really gotten a lot of feedback about it, but I think it's fun. Okay, so folded that down. And we're just going to keep folding it over like that. And then we're going to fold this down. And then we're going to fold that over again. Last one. Top part down. like that. Now we're going to fold it over again. Okay, probably a good idea to check the front side where all of the lines are. And you can see we have all of the outside folded. The only thing we're missing are these two lines in the middle. So I'm just going to take it and flop it over. It gets really awkward with all these other folds, but just kind of flatten those out. And you could see the line, so you're just going to be gentle. Start with it kind of curvy, and then you get your thumbnail in there. Then I'm going to pull it with my right hand until it looks like the right spot, and then I'm going to crease it with my left. There we go. Okay, we have all of our folds done. So next, it's pretty much time to make the box. But there's a couple of things that I want us to do first. Here's what it is. So in the middle, all right, I don't know how to describe it. It's like the Tetris shape is what I think of, this shape right here. Okay, if you fold over one of these tabs, it's the only tab that's not a colored tab. It's just this white one right here. So there's two of those, okay? So find the white square. We're going to fold it over. This is just going to add some sturdiness to the corner of the box that's always going to be folding onto the box part. So you could cut this off if you wanted to, but I liked it to be there to add some stability. So I just fold it over and add some tape. Same thing on this side. That's a white square, so we're just going to fold it over, add some tape. It's not visible by anything. That's why I didn't, waste your ink on it. It's going to be hidden. And are you seeing my dry hands? My hands are so dry right now, it's disgusting. Okay. Doesn't really matter which side we start on, because they're pretty much going to be the exact same. But why don't I go ahead and start on the side that has the two tabs here and here. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit wonky, but as I've practiced, I found the best way to make the best corners, and I want to share that with you. So look at where I'm holding here. Eventually, all of our creases are going to go this way, but I'm going to actually fold them backwards for a minute because it's going to help me make a good corner. So these two pieces here, fold them backwards. Okay? Next, what we're going to do is kind of bring this up like this. This is going to be our box, right? But keep these folded backwards, bring this up, and then this is kind of weird. You're going to actually take this top part, fold that backwards as well. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because it is going to flop back over, but for now, I just want you to take this, fold it back, and the reason why is you can kind of wrap this long wing around the side. Do you see what I'm doing here? And what I'm doing, well, why don't I tell you? What I'm doing is I'm just making sure that these corners are lined up the way that I want. So I'm kind of folding this inside out a little bit. So I'm taking this and folding it backwards, I'm taking this and folding it backwards, and I'm wrapping the wing around just to check the corners. And as soon as the corners look nice and snuggly, I'm gonna pinch it, grab some tape, and I'm just gonna tape this part down so that my corner stays nice. It's a little tricky to do this on camera. Hold on, I'm gonna put it down. So the corners look good, and I'm just going to throw some tape right there. And that way when I let go, it's not tight right now, but it will be, and it's in the right spot. So same thing on this side. Let me show you again. So fold these two parts back so we can get this tab in place. I'm going to wrap that tab around just to make sure that those corners look exactly the way that I want it to look. Just nice and tight right there. Hold on, I got to go up and over. And I'm just going to throw some tape on there as I'm holding it in place. And now I can let go and rest assured that those corners are going to be in the right spot. Okay? When that folds over, it's going to be the most perfect corner. All right. Now we're going to take this part, and this is where the double-sided tape comes in handy. I wish I still had mine. But basically, you can put a piece of double-sided tape right here. I don't have any double-sided tape, and so if you don't, that's okay. Basically, I'm going to take 3 rolls of tape and just line them up on this. 1 on each side and 1 in the middle. So let's get these rolls rolled out. And last one. Okay, I tried to make sure that every side of this box had at least 2 pages to make it more sturdy. So that's what we're doing here. We got the 3 rolls of tape. Keep these wings folded backwards, because what we're going to do is we're just going to bring this thing up and over, and the wings are going to fall into place inside the box like this. You just push it closed because you've got your rolls of tape. And what we've done now is the wings are going to be a third paper to add some stability to these shorter sides. Okay, so if you have double-sided tape right here, go ahead and lay it right on that. If you don't have double-sided tape, I do 2 rolls on these short side. So 1 there, and 1 there. Okay, and we're going to bring this up and over, and we're going to pinch it closed and make sure that the corner's good. If I hadn't trimmed that one side, this would be a little bit like bloated. I don't know how else to describe it. Okay, so we just pinch that in. 2 rolls of tape on the other one, like this. Okay, and then we're just going to bring that up and over and push it closed so that the tape secures it into place. And looky there, we have the bottom of our box made. Now these tabs are just here to kind of hold the box part or the cards in place. So that's what those tabs are, and like I put cute little icons. But there we go. Now we're going to make the lid. It's going to be pretty much the exact same. So let's just review what we did. We took these 2 sides here and folded them backwards against the crease like this. Okay, just folded those down. Push the wings in, and we're actually going to grab this top part and fold it backwards. Again, counterintuitive, but this is to give us a good corner. Bring that up, fold that long wing over, just so you can figure out how you, oh, do you know what? Did I give that I did not crease that. I got to crease that better. I think I skipped that part. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm folding that backwards, up and around, checking to make sure that the corner's right where I want it to be. Throw on a piece of tape. Okay, let me just give you some advice on, I'll pull it out. So on the Vagabond boxes, they're significantly smaller. And so, again, same design, but what I was going to point out is when you bring these parts up, these 2 sides are going to basically be touching. So you can, for the most part, just grab a piece of tape and it will hit both of those papers. And I just wrap that tape, because the side is so skinny, I just wrapped that tape. How do you describe it? So like, imagine this but smaller. I just grabbed 1 piece of tape, and the side was so small that I just wrapped the tape up and over the back. So it's possible that you're going to be hitting a design where you would want to do something like that. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm just trying to make it feel like it's worth watching this video. Okay, that corner looks good. So I'm going to throw in some tape just like that. All right, double-sided tape right here if you've got it, or 3 rolls of normal tape. And, sorry, my face is a little bit itchy today. Okay, so 3 rolls of tape. I usually try to line up the tape so that I have this one hits that tab, this one hits that tab, and one that doesn't hit either of the tabs. Okay, so just bring that up and over, making sure that you tuck those wings in. Bring that up and over and pinch it so that the rolls of tape adhere nicely. So these long wings should be down like that. And then we're going to put 2 rolls of tape, wrap that up and over. And okay. And then we're just going to make sure that that's down. Why is that being weird? Down in place, up and over, just like that. Okay. Now you might be wondering why I have the other tape here. Here's why. I don't like the look of that opening right there. It's a stupid, silly thing. You can ignore it if you want to. But since I'm going to be taping on some printed stuff, I want this tape to disappear. That's why I use that tape. So I just put it, oh man, again on camera. Okay, so I just put it right there on the edge, and I pinch it tight and pull it really tight, and then slap it on the other side. And it just closes up that side nicely. All right, back to the last side over here. We've got 2 rolls of tape or 1 piece of double-sided tape if you've got it. Bring that up and over. like that. And if you're crazy like me, a piece of the transparent tape just right there on the edge, pinch it and pull it tight, just like that. Okay, we've got our box now. I actually don't recommend closing this box until you have stuff in it. Otherwise it kind of gets a little mushy. But once stuff gets in it, then you can kind of make sure that it gets closed well. So for now, I'm just going to put this to the side. And let's go ahead and make the component box that fits in it. Again, it might be different sizes. It might be a lot shorter. I use the exact same template. It's the same stuff. So, same thing that we did before. Let's start by cutting all of the dotted lines. There are significantly more dotted lines this time. Same thing is going to happen here, is we're going to be cutting out all the dotted lines, then I'm going to do some trimming. After you've done this once or twice, the trimming and the cutting kind of happen at the same time. But for now, let's keep it simple. I'm going to start by cutting out these 4 corners with the X's. So this actually has 8 X's in this design that we're going to cut out. But like I said, I'm going to try to keep things a little slower pace. Okay, and there we go. Okay, there are those ones. Now I'm going to be cutting out the other X's as I go, but I also am noticing as I cut out those X's, I could hit a couple more of these kind of L shapes. So I like to kind of do this up, bring it around. Okay, and then I'm going to come this way. And you're seeing some dots, so you probably in your brain know what those dots mean. You might be able to trim where I'm thinking you should trim already, but for this video I'm going to keep it simple. So I just hit that X out, and then I hit those 2 lines as well. So let's get this X, let's get this X out, and as I go, we'll hit that, and then we'll hit that. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got 2 more. Hit it that way. Go this way. Something like that. And finally, this side over here. And you can see I'm doing this on camera. It's not perfect, and that's okay. All right. Next thing I want to do, before I do the dot trims, do you see these 4 small white rectangles? Oh, I should have said this earlier. It's okay. You know how there's the big printed outline? Just make sure you don't have any black showing on these rectangles here, because it'll be really obvious in the design. But yeah, sorry, I should have said that before. Okay, what we're going to do on those rectangles, we're going to turn those skinny rectangles into trapezoids just by hitting the corners like that. See that? I did that there. I'm going to do the same thing here, here, and here. So these are just on the outer parts. Again, not a requirement. You can see I'm not really putting a lot of thought into this. Just hitting those. Whoop. Like that. And like that. Okay. So that was unlabeled trim things. Now I'm going to look for some dots, and it's pretty much the exact same idea we did before. So looking at the 4 big white rectangles, I'm going to start where the dots are. I know which direction I should be going. I'm just going to go at a diagonal towards the printed line, so it looks like that. Start near the dots. Go towards the printed corner. Again, I have 2 dots there to kind of show you the direction you should be going. Like that. And finally like this. Okay. Next up, the 4 squares also have 2 dots. So we're going to hit those as we go. Like that. Like that. And finally, like that. Cool. Pretty sure we hit all of our trim marks that I care about. So we're ready to fold. All right, now this is really similar to what we did before. Turn it over. Let's hit the the things that we just trimmed, basically, the 4 squares, and then these 4 really long rectangles. So let's just get those folded first. Okay, apparently I'm starting with the long rectangles. I just go with the flow. I've done so many of these at this point, I kind of forget to like go around or whatever. I just see something and I fold it. Like that. And then we got these. Ooh. Okay, something like that. All right. Next thing, we need to fold kind of exactly the same way as it's very similar to what I was saying before. So like on this side, I'm going to fold right here above the squares. Okay, right above the squares. And this is how this one's different than the box. Is we have this folding line here. So I folded right above the squares on this side, and I'm going to keep it folded and fold right here where the white trapezoid meets the colored rectangle. So folding like that, and it should make sense that that's going to be the side of our component box. And we're going to have this tab. That's actually what we're going to use to tape down. We had enough paper space to have that. So let's do this side as well. So fold above the squares, and then fold on the line between the white trapezoid and the colored printing startingness, like that. Okay, very similar thing up here, only this time we're going to fold under those long wings. That's our first fold, so fold right under there. Same idea though, we're able to see the white trapezoid and a colored rectangle. And then I'm going to keep it folded and fold one more time like that. And then over here, fold under the big wings. And then keep it folded and fold one more time right under the wings. And that is actually all of the folds we need for this box. Okay, super similar to the box that we just barely made. So I'm going to start holding it vertically. Take these 2 sides, fold them backwards. Only this time you're going to have these like kind of tabs go under the box. You see that? So go like that. And then you're going to do the same thing with the top part. Fold it backwards, up and over. So we're folding stuff backwards so that I can push the wings in and then bring the long wing around. Make sure my corner looks as nice as I want it to. And throw some tape on it so it doesn't go anywhere. You can do the same thing on this side. And heck, I'm going to recommend that before we bring anything up and over, let's also do the same thing on this side. Okay, so I'm just going to flip it around, push this back, use that wing to hug the side to get your corners where you want them to go. And I got to be careful that that first piece of tape, I did it too long. I didn't want it to grab that side. Okay, use that wing to give it a nice hug. Like that. Throw some tape on it. Oh, I did not do a good job there. Hold on. I didn't push it very good. Okay, make that corner look nice. There it is. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this trapezoid, and I'm going to put some tape on it. So the sticky side is here, down here. This is the smooth side. And I'm going to do that for the 2 skinny ends. Okay? And then what happens next is we're just going to bring this up and over. So I'm not rolling any tape. You could do double-sided tape if you want. In theory, you don't need to because of this piece of tape. But you're going to fold those wings back as you bring it up and over. And I'm not even touching the tape, but I'm pinching the sides with my thumbs. And then once I feel like it's lined up nicely at the base, I'm just going to push that tape down, and that should be secure. I'm going to flip it over, do the same thing on this side, push that up and over and in. I'm not touching the tape, I'm just using my thumb to pinch at the base. And once that's nice and tight, a really good angle there, I push on the tape. Last thing we have to do is we're just going to bring these sides up and over, but first we're going to tape it the exact same way. Throw some tape on there, throw some tape on here. Okay, and then we're just going to bring this up and over. Don't touch the tape. Push the sides in exactly where you want it to go. And when you feel like it's nice and squared at the bottom, push down on the tape. Same thing over here. Up and over. Thumbs at the base, square it up. Push it like that. Now that we have everything constructed, we can load stuff in. So let's grab the box. Don't make fun of me. There's only one card for this particular faction, but there are other factions with lots of cards. So I'm going to take my one card and lay it down here. Okay, and then let's fill up, well, here, it doesn't matter. So then I could put the box on top. It's going to keep the card nice and safe, protected and not damaged. I'm grabbing the pieces from over here. Okay, so here we've got our River Folk. And I haven't tested this one actually, so in theory, I think we can just dump them all in and make sure that it stays nice and level. Yeah, that should be perfect actually. And then we're gonna bring this up and over. Now the first 1 or 2 times you do this, you gotta be careful. I usually try to get one corner in, and then you kind of have to force the other one in just a little bit. Oh man, this is great on video. Yeah, there we go. It's usually a little bit tough the first 1, maybe 2 times, but I just get it in there, try to make sure that everything is folded great. Okay, and then we're going to open it up and do it again just to make sure that it's nice and steady. Okay, not bad for a do-it-yourself project, I think, and a free one at that, right? So there we go. That box is good to go. Nothing's going to come out or fall out of place. Let me just show you once again how I've done this in case you are building the root boxes as well. This should fit perfectly. I just keep my, I think this came with the expansion. It just goes right there. And then let me show you how I've done this. So I have all of the player boards and the main board like that. Even though, so the different player, not all of the player boxes needed to be the same height, but I wanted them to be the same height. And so I already showed you the Dyson tokens. So like this didn't need to be this big. I chose to make it that big so that these things could be a nice level playing field. Oh, this is the cards. There's no box in this. This is just cards. And there's extra space because another expansion is coming out, and I think there are some more cards that'll be added into this. But anyway, this is not only for root. But I just want to show you. So I just took some cardstock, cut out 1-inch strips, taped it here at the bottom. Okay, and the reason why I did that is I lay it in here like this and put all of the game board and all the player boards in on top of that like that. There we go. And then when it's time to play, I just lift these tabs, everything comes out, and it's nice and easy to access everything that you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up and call it a night for that video. Thank you for watching. Please check out my website, and if you like it, will you share it with other people? That would be super great. Yeah, thanks for watching. That was a fun impromptu. I was avoiding doing an assignment that I needed to do. So this popped in my brain, and I worked on it instead of doing my other thing. Now it's time to go do the other thing. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.